Thank
There
you.
we go.
And we can start now. Let's not wait for others. We can start. I don't want you guys to be late because it's already 11 there for you guys. We can start.
Okay, Craig. So I'll just start with some brief introductions. Craig is our inventor, founder, and CEO. He's based in the greater Boston area, and he'll be conducting the session tonight. My name is Stephen Ducker. I'm co-founder of LiquidText, and I'm responsible for sales and marketing. So with that, and just for Craig's benefit, we have Manish, who is the founder or owner of ICONS and his team. So let me put myself on mute again, Craig, and turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And thank you, Manish, and everyone from ICONS for making this opportunity for us. So we're very excited. So the way I want to begin with this is, first of all, I want to walk through a sort of template sales presentation and tell you a little bit about how we would envision sales process looking from your perspective. Then after that, I want to play a video of, play a couple of little videos, short ones, from some of our customers, showing a little bit about how they've gotten value out of LiquidText. And then I want to play a somewhat longer video that'll actually demo LiquidText and walk you through exactly how it's used. And then after that, we'll take questions and discussion. So if you have any questions along the way, by all means, speak up, and I'll get started. So what we have here again is, yes.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Excellent, excellent. So what we have here is our newly crafted sales deck. But you know, again, we're very open to your thoughts and feedback on how we might want to adapt it. So to begin with, let's get started. So I'll start with a few quick facts about us. We're new to enterprise law, but we've been supporting lawyers and other professionals for quite a while now. We have about 6 million downloads, about 300,000 monthly active users. Our largest single deployment is the European Patent Office, who has provisioned LiquidText for over 3,000 seats, virtually all their examiners. We launched for individuals in 2015, actually, but we launched for enterprise in 2021. We took the time to really understand your needs, the needs of lawyers. When I say you, I'm generally speaking about the lawyers that you would be pitching to, but I'll just say you anyway. We took the time to really understand your needs with this. We spent 4 years doing R&D, got 3 patents and 2 peer-reviewed research papers on how lawyers and other professionals review documents. And of course, we are ISO 27001 certified, which we're very proud of. Our products are considered exceptional. Apple and Microsoft both named us Editor's Choice. Apple named us the most innovative app of the year. And I'm proud to say that we are trusted by legal professionals around the world. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the document review market. There are a lot of tools available for reviewing and analyzing documents. So I want to explain a little bit about where LiquidText sits with respect to the other tools that are available to you. But before that, who even does document review? Well, in some ways we all do, but different people have different needs. Typical users outside of legal have fairly straightforward needs, right? They'll typically read documents straight from the beginning right to the end. They'll make some margin notes or some highlights along the way. They might fill out some forms. They might do some page rearrangement, but that's kind of it. It's similar to what you would expect for a high school student or, you know, a new college student. By contrast, legal users are a different story. They need to connect facts from law and precedent. They need to connect evidence across a lot of numerous thousands of documents to construct an argument. Then later, they need to find all those facts again incredibly quickly. It's more like solving a puzzle and very, very different from the needs of, you know, our sort of typical user, right? So my point here is that lawyers have very specialized document review needs. And this isn't just litigators, all lawyers who work with long, complex groups of documents, whether they're M&A lawyers, IP lawyers, estate lawyers, or more. They need to gather facts. You can just look at the list right here, right? Lawyers, by contrast, typical users. Lawyers need to gather facts from and get back to their sources later. They need to write notes and be able to connect those notes to some kind of justification or source. They need to be able to compare different documents and make connections between them. They need to instantly be able to find the facts that they cite, and they need to basically be able to assemble their notes and facts together to build an argument, because that's so much of what law is, right? It's building an argument. And then when they're all done with all this, they need to be able to switch, take all these facts and ideas, and then switch from one matter to another very quickly and get up to speed, right? Because they start the day on one case, they end the day on a different case. So they need to be able to switch between matters very quickly as well. So you see, again, very big difference between the needs of a typical user versus a lawyer when they do document review. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about the differences, let's talk a little bit about the tools. Here's the problem. The tools that you are using today don't support this, right? All these things we just talked about here that lawyers need, the tools you're using today don't support this. So let's talk about the tools you're using today. Let's start with your PDF reader, right? Your Adobe, your Kofax, your PDF Expert. Let's talk about those. Your PDF readers may actually be nice apps, but the problem is they're designed for generic use cases. They're more designed for the needs of the student rather than the attorney. They're designed for the needs of more of a college student rather than someone preparing for a trial or mapping a complex M&A deal. Even Kofax, which markets to lawyers, isn't really much different. So let's go over here. Let's talk about a PDF reader plus a note app, right? Let's say you use your PDF reader with OneNote or something like that. Well, that's great, but the problem is these are still generic tools and they're not a solution, and it shows, right? Even if you use your PDF reader and let's say OneNote together, you can take some basic annotations and things, but the problem is your notes are not connected to their sources. So finding the sources and the justifications for that argument you're putting together is very, very difficult. It's hard or impossible to connect facts from one document to another. And without context and without connections, it's very tedious to get back up to speed on a matter when you need to switch to it after some time away from it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about e-discovery. You might say e-discovery is great. Yes, e-discovery tools are great, and they are indeed tailored to the needs of lawyers and especially litigators. But the problem is they're meant for a different use case, right? E-discovery tools are great at helping you sift through huge document sets, right? To get from your 1,000,000 documents down to your 1,000 documents that you're actually going to read. But when it comes time for an actual attorney to read those documents and build a case strategy, really the e-discovery tools aren't much different than any of the generic document readers like these guys. And then, of course, there's the last one. There's pencil and paper, which a lot of people love, but I don't think I need to go into detail telling you the problems with pencil and paper. So LiquidText is different. We designed it specifically for the needs of highly complex document review scenarios, just the kind of scenarios faced by litigators, M&A attorneys, IP attorneys, and so on. It's designed for the needs of lawyers. So in a real presentation, I would pause now, say, are we on the same page? Do you understand where we are? Kind of check in with the prospect. But in this case, we can just go straight forward. Okay, so I've said that LiquidText is designed for the needs of lawyers, so let me say a little bit more about how it is specifically, particularly in comparison to PDF readers. So the first way is that in LiquidText, everything is in one place. With your traditional PDF reader, well, gosh, you have your notes in OneNote, you have your documents in Acrobat, you have the files sort of scattered out among a bunch of folders. But in LiquidText, everything, your documents, your notes, are all organized into one place. It makes it much easier to go paperless. You can drag and drop content into LiquidText from virtually any source, from Microsoft OneDrive all the way to iManage. Second, you can work with multiple documents at once. In your traditional PDF reader and even a note-taking app, there's no way to gather information naturally and easily from multiple documents into one place in your notes. But you see, even here in our little picture, right? We have many documents. We have documents up side by side. You gather the information from all of them and bring it together into your notes. And you'll see this in a lot more detail in the demo in just a minute. You have what we call interactive note-taking, right? In LiquidText, your notes that you take are linked to their sources and their documents. You see even the little lines that we have linking them here. Your notes are linked to their sources in the documents, and your documents can be linked together as well. It's easy to reorganize and compare excerpts from different documents to build a more complete and comprehensive understanding. And finally, we have what we call a contextual workspace. What that means is that you can find the context of your excerpts and your notes, right? So you bring your excerpts, your notes into the workspace. You can always just tap them to get right back to their source and get back to the context of whatever you've pulled out, right? So you're never more than one tap away from your context. Again, you'll see this in a little more detail in a moment. Okay. So now I've told you a little bit about how LiquidText is different from the tools you're using now. Let me speak to what you can expect with LiquidText. First of all, LiquidText will materially help your firm. Users report being able to go paperless with LiquidText. It's transformative. Many folks who describe the difficulties of going paperless, how hard it is in general, say with LiquidText, it lets them go paperless straight away. Users will report being able to find information faster, especially in court. Users will report being able to return to a matter more quickly because their notes are more usable and reusable. They're more useful than when they take notes in traditional apps. LiquidText, when you really get down to the brass tacks of it, and you'll see some more information about this from our user testimonials in a moment, LiquidText saves lawyers time and saves firms money. Now, where is LiquidText actually used? Well, LiquidText can be used, again, in any practice area of law where folks need to read long, complex documents. But a few of the best examples are these four. Litigation is a great one. LiquidText lets you efficiently manage your case files, organize your evidence, your research, easily access and present information in trial or in client meetings, and makes it incredibly easy to go paperless in the courtroom. Corporate law, particularly corporate law relating to things like complex due diligence, contract reviews, M&A deals. LiquidText lets attorneys analyze and cross-reference vast document sets much more effectively, identifying key issues and patterns between those documents. Real estate and property law. LiquidText is great at helping manage, and compare numerous property documents, plans, contracts, just taking all these documents, making sense of them. It streamlines property transactions and related legal processes. And finally, IP law. IP law is particularly a great one for us because, as you know, as I mentioned at the beginning, the European Patent Office is actually our flagship customer right now. So IP law is great with LiquidText because it makes it easy to do prior art research, patent invalidations, search for legal precedents, organize complex information for patent analysis, and certainly when you get to litigation and licensing, it's great because, as I said, those basically boil down to litigation or corporate law type situations. Okay. So rather than me telling you how great LiquidText is and what it can do for your firm, I'd love you to hear it from some of our customers. So I'd like to show you a 90-second video from one of our customers, in this case, Priyanka Pandit, an advocate in Mumbai. She was kind enough to tell us a little bit about LiquidText, or how LiquidText benefited her, and I think this video will resonate with you. Now, in a real sales pitch, we would generally, based on what we've heard so far, we generally pick one of the videos to present, and then maybe present a second one, depending on the reaction of the prospect. Given that this is more of a training tutorial, why don't we show you all three? Each one's only about 1 minute long, so it's not too onerous. Let me just go through and show you all three of the videos.
So I've been using LiquidText for a little over 6 months or now, I would say. And it's been transformational because it's very easy to use. It's very user-friendly. It's very intuitive. And most of the features that I would want to be able to link my documents, to be able to cross-reference, to be able to create my own various workspaces, depending on the stage of my matters, to be able to upload and change my briefs to add or delete PDFs or pleadings as the trial goes. So all of these features are already there. And as you use it more, I think you become more intuitive with LiquidText. And so it sort of evolves with you. It's been a great help to have LiquidText as something that I can use to manage all of my briefs online and walk into confidently in a court just with my iPad and be ready to conduct a trial. Literally the click of a button.
Excellent. Let me show you a second one here, particularly about going paperless.
Around 2000 and not Oops. Around 2018 I decided to go more digital and use less paper to try and support the environment as best as I could, which was when I started to work a lot with PDFs, and which was when I invested for the first time in a Mac. Thereafter, COVID happened to all of us. Not by choice, we all were required to become more friendly with technology and use the internet and our devices even to conduct work, which was otherwise offline. It was around this time that I was exploring what other applications, devices, and softwares I could use to make my work more productive and more efficient, which was when I came across LiquidText and how I could use LiquidText to have digital briefs and not carry around a lot of paperwork because litigation can be very bulky.
All right. And finally, the third one, her wow moment.
So when my friend Bernardo showed me that I can link documents, which are like, so when I can use that link to sort of even switch between the documents that I'm linking, that was like a wow moment for me. That was fantastic. I was like, okay, this helps me not go through pages. And so the kind of transition that I can see between how we use paper briefs and how that can be seamlessly done even on the iPad, that really is fantastic, because it takes away the burden that there are limitations in what you're using to manage your brief, or that you would not be able to scroll between pages. So once you know how to use it, you can be completely dependent only on this and not worry about not having paper.
Excellent. Thanks again to Priyanka for this wonderful testimonial. Now,
so I've been using LiquidText for so when my friend.
Okay, there we are. All right. Now we have a second customer testimonial from Paul Kiesel and Jeff Concius of Kiesel Law, consumer class action litigators. These are actually the ones that over here in the US led the Jewel lawsuit, and which was a fairly very substantial litigation, very well known in the press, and just huge scale. So these guys are also great and give some great feedback as well about how LiquidText benefited them. Again, each of these videos is just about a minute and a half. So I'm just going to play all four of them just to give you guys the information. But again, if this was an actual sales pitch, I would generally pick one based on the conversation I've been having with the prospect so far, and possibly a second depending on their reaction. But here we'll go through all of them.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Paul Kiesel. I am a proud consumer attorney here in California. I've been practicing law for 38 years. I started with iAnnotate, and iAnnotate was a PDF-based program that would allow you to highlight and make some notes on the side of the page. It was a very rudimentary annotation program. And then PDF Expert came into the field, and I got rid of iAnnotate and I started using PDF Expert to do the exact same thing. And when Jeff said, hey, there's this product called LiquidText that might really fill the bill for you, it did, it has, and I haven't looked back.
Once you use it, even the basic features that we use, the ability to open up a number of documents, the ability to have your notes on the right side, the ability to draw and make connections, just those simple tasks, and that's what it excels at. It makes you understand that the previous way that you would mark up PDFs doesn't make any sense, because all you're doing is literally highlighting something and then hoping that you can remember the connections you're making between the pile of documents either on your desk or in a different annotation program. And that's really the strength. So as I said, once you first try LiquidText and even the basic features of it, you get hooked because it's a different way of looking at a bunch of PDFs. I don't know.
All right. So that's LiquidText versus generic document readers. Let's talk a little bit about going paperless.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Paul Kiesel. I am a proud consumer attorney here in California. I've been practicing law for 38 years. I try cases. Jason, I try cases only with my iPad. So I do a paperless trial. I've had trials with 1 million documents, not pages, 1 million documents, and everything is paperless. Everything is using my iPad. So I've done a lot of programs for lawyers, how to try cases using your iPad in the courtroom. And I always identify LiquidText as one of my go-to.
Do you ever
practice? It's probably saved my firm hundreds of thousands of dollars in just terms of physical labor and costs connected to documents themselves. So, right, the fact that you're paperless means nothing. It just means that you need to get access to the materials that you're working on. So because LiquidText has a search feature, I can have 10,000 documents in LiquidText, but find those documents when I need them by using the search tool to actually find what it is I have here, right? Because it's great to be paperless, but then you have to have access to the materials that you're working on. And LiquidText has a built-in search engine that lets you find what you're looking for, which is as important as anything else. That's been very effective for me in the practice.
Excellent. And now we'll talk a little bit about Liquid. And notice, I just want to point out there how he said that LiquidText enabled him to save hundreds of thousands of dollars by enabling him to go paperless. And we especially like that one. So let's talk a little bit about saving time here.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Oops. Okay,
Good evening.
We'll play it in YouTube then.
I am a proud consumer attorney here in California. I've been practicing law for 38 years. There are a couple of years now, is the ability to take text out of a document and block and move it to the margin so I can have it on the side screen. So that way I don't have to, because I always had to actually annotate, handwrite every single reference and then draw arrows to what it was I was referring to. Now the ability to take text and block it and move it out automatically created a link to where it is in the document. So I don't need arrows anymore because the link is already created. And it's great because it saves me time, not having to write down what it was I think is important. I can pull the text out that's critical and move it to the margin and go back to it in the future. Just look at the marginalia and not the entire document itself.
Excellent. And we'll go to the last one here.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Paul Kiesel. I am a proud consumer attorney here.
Oops. Okay.
Text is the ability to
YouTube's having a little problem. Let's just try playing it back in the page again.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Paul Kiesel. I am a proud consumer attorney here in California. I've been practicing law for 38 years. This is the Jewel folder, and these are the different documents that have come in on the Jewel litigation, and I have the check mark showing whether I've reviewed it or not. If I pull this one up, you can see how I'm using it. So this is back, the date of this one was 2020. So you've got all my notes here. This was all my handwritten notes. And then of course, all of the tethers are here that just bring you to, and it's like a spaghetti mash of all the stuff. But this is a perfect example of my use. And then these are my notes to give you an idea of what it was I needed to focus on with regard to the hearing before the judge.
What brought me to LiquidText is the ability to bring in a number of different documents, have them in one place on the iPad or your device, and being able to then highlight, review, make notes on the side, and draw arrows. So let's just say you were looking at, I don't know, you had cases open as well as your outline, as well as your brief and whatever else, and you wanted to remember what the standard was. You could put standard and then have an arrow to the case that explains what the standard is, have the same arrow going to your brief, and then just click. And the fact that it instantly will open to that portion of it, it's something of a revelation until you use it. And then once you use it, you never want to go back to not using it.
All right. Excellent. So with that all said, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a perspective on how we would sort of run the sale up to this point, how we'd communicate with them. Again, we're trying to give people a sense of, start with sort of our own credibility, talk to them a little bit about the market, the different document review solutions out there, how LiquidText is different, and then kind of support and back up that difference by talking about the concrete impacts, particularly in the words of our customers. What we would do at this point is go on to our LiquidText demo. So maybe I can pause now for a moment if anyone has any questions so far. And otherwise, we'll go right into the demo.
Great. So far, great presentation from your side. I just wanted to also ask you, do you have any case study related to judiciary where it's been used in courts? And how are the judges getting benefit out of that also?
Unfortunately, we don't have any judges who've given us video testimonials yet. If you take a look at our website, we probably have several hundred videos from a wide number of different attorneys of different practice areas, many litigators, some intellectual property attorneys, litigators in different practice, in different subspecialties, but no judges yet. But I will comment that we are used extensively within the judiciary. They're just not the kind of users who like to give us testimonials because they think it's unjudge-like.
Yeah, we understand that. I mean, they can only give that once they're retired.
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent. Okay. We'll continue on then. But again, stop me if you have anything. Again, we're going to play this demo video, or this video now that comes from a presentation we gave a couple of months ago to JSA law. And this should walk you through a few things. So LiquidText is a really powerful document analysis platform, but we built it into the form of an easy-to-use PDF reader so that you could add it to your workflow and start getting value out of it very quickly. So let me show you something here. So for folks who are new to LiquidText, I recommend you start using it kind of as a replacement for your day-to-day PDF reader. So for example, let's say we just bring up the Files app here, and let's say that I need to review a document. Just drag that right into LiquidText. And we recommend when you need to review a document, again, just drag it right into LiquidText and use sort of the basic features of the app, like highlighting, excerpts, notes, and ink links. So let me just to make that really clear. So of course, you can highlight text very easily, as we talked about. We recommend you create excerpts, which again, very easy, just pull those right out like this. We recommend you create notes, which you can either do by hand. I have terrible handwriting, so I don't do that very much. Or of course, the text box. And then finally, ink links. And again, we want to point them out here to kind of tell you that just by doing these, right, just these basic concepts of highlighting, excerpts, notes, and ink links, you can start getting tremendous value out of LiquidText, even with just reviewing, a single PDF, for example. And we recommend you start using LiquidText, particularly if you're new to the product. We recommend you start using it in this kind of a model, and then advance into the more expert features as you feel ready. The way we're going to begin this is we're going to start by talking with a little narrative about a trial prep situation to go over the basics of LiquidText. I want to teach you all about how to create a new LiquidText project, how to use the LiquidText editor and the documents list. I want to teach you about creating excerpts and ink links. I want to teach you about searching for text, importing content from the web, working with multiple documents in the same project, and finally, exporting your results. Okay. All right, here we are. So here first we have the LiquidText home screen. Each of the tiles here represents a project. Projects can be simple and contain just a single document, or a project can contain hundreds of thousands of documents and hundreds of pages of notes. To create a new project, you start by importing one or more documents into LiquidText, and the app creates a new project when you do so. LiquidText gives you several different ways to import content into it. You have, of course, the Open File button over here on the left. Here you can pull in files from your file system. You have Open Web Page, which lets you, excuse me, import a web page. You can import pictures, and we have integrations with things like Zotero, Mendeley, and iManage. Now, I'm doing this demo this morning on my iPad, but this pretty much works the same way if you're on Windows. The arrangement of the buttons over here on the left is a little bit different, but the idea is basically the same. You can also, of course, just drag and drop files directly into the LiquidText UI from another app or from your file manager if you prefer. Okay. Now, let's see. Now, the way I'd like to frame the beginning of our demo is to go over let's say a public interest lawsuit against a company that's, let's say, burning waste illegally. Now, I'll be handling this in court, so I want to prepare. The first thing I'm going to want to do is review the petition. So we're going to head over to the Open File button here and go to our waste burning use case. And here we have, let's see, here we are. Here we have the petition, and we're just going to import this into LiquidText. And you see, it creates a new project around that file. Now, this is the LiquidText editor screen. Let me give you a quick tour of the editor. And this is the LiquidText editor screen. Over here on the left, we have the documents list. This is the list of all the documents in the current project that we're working on right now. In this case, there's only one. In the middle is the reading area. This is where I have the document or documents I'm working on right now. And over here on the right is the workspace. This is where I take my notes and start to build the arguments that I'm going to be using. Okay. Now, in this case in particular, I'm going to be using the workspace to keep track of key facts in the case and an overview. So the first thing I'm going to want to keep track of is the parties to the case. So the petitioner and the respondents. So I'm going to select the petitioner here. On my iPad, you can just put your finger down, wait for a moment, and drag to select, or of course you can use your mouse just as you would expect on a more traditional desktop device. And now, of course, I could highlight the petitioner, but I don't want to simply highlight them. I want to have this information continuously available as I go through the case. So instead of highlighting, I'm going to drag this information into my workspace like this, you see. And now you see what I've done. I've actually captured this piece of text here. Let's do the same thing for the respondents. I'll select them as well, pull that out, and you see I can connect these and form this little grouping over here in the workspace. Now you notice each of these excerpts that I pulled out has this little white arrow on the side. What is that white arrow? That white arrow is your magic home button. Wherever you are, you can simply tap that white arrow and instantly get right back to the source, you see. This means you are never more than one click away from context. All right, very good. So in court, I'm going to, let's also pull out, before we get to that, let's pull out the index here of the annexes. I'm going to select this as an image. And you see, also pull this out into the workspace. We'll shrink this guy down a little bit and just connect him to the other notes. There we are. All right. Now, as I was saying, in court, I'm going to need to be able to get to these annexes very quickly. So I'd like to be able to connect this index I pulled out to the annexes that it refers to. So let's start by going to Annex A. I see that it's over here. It says it's on page 26. So I could of course start by scrolling down to page 26, but there's actually a faster way. In LiquidText, we know you're going to need to be able to navigate very quickly. So you can actually just start typing and just type 2, 6. And you see, as I start just typing the numbers, LiquidText brings up a context-sensitive dialog box that lets me go right to that page. So we'll just go right to page 26 and see, there we are, Annexure A. Okay. Now what I'd like to do is connect the index over here to the actual annex. Now, how can I do that? At first, it doesn't seem really possible, right? This is my notes and this is my document. But one of the great things about LiquidText is we make it really easy to connect your documents and your notes. So I'm actually going to just take my pen here and draw a line from Annex A right into my notes here. And look what the app does. It creates an ink link, a living line between my document and my notes. Wherever I am, even if I'm in a different document, I can always click this link here, and LiquidText brings me right back instantly. It's incredibly powerful for navigating quickly. All right, let me show you all that one more time. Let's do the same thing for Annex B. That's over on page 41. So I'm just going to type in 41, you see, and I can go straight to page 41. And there we have Annex B. And again, I want to connect Annex B to the little index here. So I'm just going to draw a line from Annex B right into the index. And again, the same thing. It creates that ink link between them. So I can navigate between these references instantly. And so this isn't simply for, navigating through different annexes. One of the great things about this is it means you can take your notes in the workspace and link those notes to whatever points in whichever documents those notes refer to. Okay, let's go on. That I need to prove for this case. Particularly, I need to prove that waste burning is dangerous, and I need to prove waste burning is unconstitutional. So let's just go over here and we'll make a title heading. Actually, let me show you that in a little more detail how I did that. Just type random text in your workspace to create your own text boxes. You go over to the sidebar on the right here, the workspace sidebar, and you click this button. And now you can just drag out to draw the text box that you need. So for this one, I'll say waste burning is dangerous, and we'll highlight that with red, and then we'll go and create another one. Waste burning is unconstitutional, and we'll highlight that red as well. Okay, now the first one I'm going to want to deal with is that waste burning is dangerous. So what do I want to do? Well, I want to find some evidence that it's dangerous. So I'll do a search for the word harm in the petition that we have here. Now, how do I do a search? Well, you can of course start by going to the top bar here, and we have the search button, and you can just type your search and press return. But there's actually even a faster way. You remember how I could just start typing to go to a page? I can actually just start typing to do a search. So I'm just going to start typing HARM. And you see LiquidText again brings up a context-sensitive dialog box with options for several different kinds of searches that I can do. In this case, I'm just going to do a search for the word harm in this document. That's already selected. So I'll press return. And you see, I found 16 results in this document for harm. Very nice. But I'd like to see all these results together so I could figure out which one is going to be most useful for me in preparation for the case here. So how can I bring all these search results together? Well, you can actually take your fingers, put them on the screen, and squeeze to bring all of the search results together like this, right? Let me show you that again. Squeeze apart, and all the results go away from each other. Squeeze my fingers together, and they all come together. Now you say, I don't happen to be using a touch screen. That's okay. If you're doing this on your traditional Windows PC, you simply hold down Shift and scroll your mouse wheel, and it does the same thing. If you're doing it on a Mac, it's a little bit of a different way. You hold down, or rather on a Mac, you would simply squeeze on your Mac trackpad. But again, in the onboarding to the app, it'll show you how to do some of these things. Okay, so now, again, I can see all of my search results together here. And which ones look like they're going to be useful? Well, let's take a look at this one over here. To dig in deeper, I just put my fingers around it, squeeze apart, and you see now I can.
Yes, please.
Great. This can be definitely achieved in iPad, on iMac or Windows, which are touch based. How about a traditional desktop? How do you do this collating of all the information as you saw? As you demonstrated right now, on a particular desktop or a laptop which does not have a touch feature.
Yeah, and thank you so much for bringing that up. I think I refer to that probably a little bit later down in the video. All the things you see here can be done perfectly well with a traditional mouse and keyboard. For example, for this interaction, what you do is you would, on a Mac, well, no one uses Mac, so that's not much of an issue. On a traditional Windows PC, you would just hold down the Shift key while scrolling the mouse wheel, and it would do exactly the same thing.
So the point, Manish, is every one of the gestures that you've seen demonstrated by hand and finger gesture, we have a keyboard and mouse equivalent of that same gesture. So so none of those functionalities are lost. They just work with a keyboard and mouse instead of two fingertips.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you. The context for it. No, this one's not going to be helpful. Squeeze back together again. What about this next one on page 24? Squeeze apart around that. This one is going to be helpful. I'll squeeze apart all the way. This one talks about some issues with dioxins. I think that's going to be really compelling for my case here. So I'm just going to select this and again, pull this right out into the workspace, just like this. Okay, very nice. So that's a good start, but I'm actually going to need some more evidence. So I want to do a quick web search. For that, we're going to go over to the left sidebar here, to the document sidebar, and you see there's this button, Add Document. Add Document lets you add more content to your LiquidText project. If I click it, I can import additional documents from the file system, web page, integrations, and so on. In this case, we're going to do a web page import. So let's open our little built-in web browser here, and let's search for burning plastic and health. And this first result looks pretty promising here. Yeah, I would say this first result is going to help us. So let's just import this directly into LiquidText. There we are. And now I'll just pull the title of this right into the workspace and connect it to my other notes. Okay, great. So now let's deal with the issue of that waste burning is unconstitutional. In order to prove that, I'm going to need the Constitution of India, and I'm going to need some earlier Supreme Court rulings that may be relevant. So for that, let's go back to our Add Document button here, and we'll go to Document File. We'll go back to our waste burning use case, and let me just emphasize that you see we have all of the different file sources that are available on this iPad listed over here. So we have OneDrive, for example. To import from OneDrive, of course, you simply click OneDrive, go to Files, and simply select the files that you want. In this case, as a convenience, the folders that I'm going to need for this demo, I've already just put here in favorites, but you can, of course, just go through OneDrive or whichever service you're using. All right. So again, now we want to pull in the Constitution and this prior ruling. I'll select both of them, and we add them. Excellent. And you see, they just appeared right here in the documents list. Now, since these two are related, I like to put them in a new folder. So I want to organize them a little bit over here in the documents list. How can I create a new folder? It's actually really easy. You just right-click or press and hold in the documents list, and you have the option to add a new folder. We'll do that. We'll name it Laws and Rulings. There we are. And now I'll just take these two documents and add them to it. And you see, now I have a nice little folder to keep things organized here. Okay, so let's begin by opening that 2017 Supreme Court case, and let's start reviewing that. Now, the first issue is this is actually a scanned document, so I want to quickly OCR it. To OCR in LiquidText, you simply tap the little three dots next to a document, and you'll see we have OCR text detection. In this case, I'm going to do a full OCR, so I'll click on full document OCR here. We'll actually do the faster version of OCR. All right, excellent. So the first thing I'd like to do is take the title of this case and bring that into the workspace. So you see, I can just select it, and the OCR worked out quite well. And now I see that this ruling has found that the word life in the Constitution implicitly includes the concept of safe and breathable air right here. So this looks like it's going to be pretty important for us. So I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to highlight it. And so you see, anytime you want to highlight text, it's very easy. You just select it and tap the color of the highlight that you want. But I also want to make sure that I'm using the word life correctly in the context of the Constitution. So I'm going to open the Constitution side by side with this ruling over here. Now, how do I do that? Well, again, you see I have the Constitution here in the documents list. To open it side by side with another document, I can tap the little 3 dots button and select Show in Parallel, but there's actually a nicer way. I can actually take the document and just drag it out and position it next to the existing documents. And look at that. It brings them up side by side. This way I can view them together. Very convenient. Great for doing comparisons. Okay, so to find out if I'm understanding the right context for how life is used in the Constitution, let's again do a quick search here. So again, I can just start typing L-I-F-E, press return, and it finds all the instances of the word life in the Constitution. Just like we did before, I'll simply pinch to bring all of the results together so I can see them at the same time. Here we are. All right, it looks like there are a few uses, but the one in Article 21 over here seems to stand well on its own. Since it's related to the point in the ruling, I'd actually like to connect this use of the word life to the point in the ruling up here. But how can I do that? We'll turn off search here. How can I do that? These are completely separate documents. How can I connect one to the other? Well, this is again one of the great things about LiquidText. We really let you connect anything to anything so that you can capture the relationships and the connections you see. So you saw how earlier I could draw a line to connect my document to my notes. I can also just draw a line to connect one document to another. And again, LiquidText creates an ink link. Look at that. Another living line between 2 different documents. Now, what this means in practice is that suppose I'm in court and we're discussing this prior case, and the opposing counsel says, I'm misunderstanding the use of the word life. I'm taking it out of context. That's not how it's meant in the Constitution. I don't have to go fumbling through my notes. I don't have to go trying to search to figure out where exactly it's used in the Constitution. The link that I need is right in front of me. I click it and I get right back to the cited point in the Constitution instantly. It means I can really find information a lot faster. And attorneys tell us that this ability to link following the connections that you discover actually gives them a material advantage in the courtroom, especially over those using paper. Okay, great. So anyway, this point that I highlighted in yellow is definitely going to be helpful for our case. I want to bring this into the workspace as well. Since I already highlighted this, I can just double tap it here to reselect it, and I can bring it right out into the workspace like this. Very convenient. Okay, so now I think it's time to put together our conclusion. In this case, it's going to be a very simple one. I'll just shrink the document down here, and we'll focus on the workspace. I'll go back, click the text box button, and we'll create a little text box here. Maybe we'll add a heading to it, and we'll say conclusion. And we'll say we should approach waste burning as a form of air pollution. It's dangerous and illegal. Okay, a simple conclusion, but I think it'll be compelling in this case. Now, since this conclusion is related to these excerpts that I pulled out earlier, I'd really like to show that. But how can I? Well, again, it's the same concept. You've seen how you can use LiquidText to link different documents together, and to link your documents and your notes. You can also use it to link one note to another. See, I can just draw lines like this, and look at that. The app creates lines, letting me connect my notes, effectively forming a mind map in my workspace. And if this was a larger and more complex workspace, I could click one end to get directly to what's on the other end. Okay, terrific. So at this point, I'd like to send all this material to the court, but of course the court does not want my mind map. The court wants a nice, polished, finished Word document. How on earth can I get from all this to a finished Word document? Well, this is actually something that LiquidText is great at. Over here on the top right of the app, we have the send button. If you click that, you have a few different options for sending. Now, we're going to talk about these more in a few minutes, but we're going to start with Notes Outline. If you click Notes Outline, LiquidText takes all of the materials in your workspace, as well as all of your highlights in your different documents and your comments, and organizes them into a nice, simple, linear Word file. Now, you can select your settings for how you want this to be presented, what citations you want to include, and so on. And then you can simply click export, and we'll send this right off to Word. And we'll give it a second here. There we are. You see, now we bring it right into Word, and now I can arrange it into the final form that I need, add in any additional text, and I'm good to go. All right, we'll go to send, and we'll go to PDF file. When you send a LiquidText PDF file, the app will take your workspace, your notes, and optionally, all of the PDFs in the project. We'll just select them all and combine them together into one big PDF file that you can send off to your standard PDF reader. So let's do an example of that. Here we are. We'll send this right over to Adobe. And there we have it. You see, here's our workspace. And then we have all of the documents from the original LiquidText project all combined together into a big PDF. And one of the great things about this is, you'll see I pulled out several excerpts. These excerpts I pulled out actually link back to their source PDFs, even in this large, or their source page, even in this PDF. So for example, if I click right here, it takes me right to the page of the PDF that that excerpt comes from. So you see, we're even able to capture just a little bit of the LiquidText concept of linking, even in the PDFs that we export. Okay. So of course, this is the home button. This takes you back to the file picker. This is previous and next view. So these might be a little bit non-obvious. Let me show you what these are. Let's say I'm on page 2 of this document. Then I scroll down to page 6 of the document. Now I'd like to go back to page 2 again. I can just click back, and it takes me back to page 2. Now I want to go forward to 6 again. Click forward, takes me forward to 6. So these work a little bit like the forward and backward buttons in your web browser. It's just for sort of quickly jumping between which view you're on in the current document, or any of your documents that you're working with. The next one, of course, is undo. We all know that. After that is the pen. You saw me use that a few times. The pen is lovely. You can write anywhere. And of course, connect anything with an ink link. The next one, of course, is the highlighter. So you can highlight text by simply selecting the text and then selecting the color you're interested in. But the other way you can highlight is just by using this highlighter tool and using your pen. And then you can highlight freeform, even if it's not directly following the text. After that, we have the eraser, in case you change your mind about any of these things. And then we have multi-select. This one is for moving around your excerpts, your ink. So for example, if we have a bunch of excerpts here, I can simply select them and move them around using the selection rectangle button. After that, of course, we have find, which we talked about. We have help, which is actually a great feature for all of the different major feature categories in LiquidText. You see we have a little tab, and you can click on any of these to get a little video demo showing you how to use that feature. Right? So this is a great way to learn how to use many of LiquidText's features. We have a lot of the advanced things in here as well. After that, we have the 3 dots menu, where you can do everything from changing around your tags, renaming the project, and setting various settings about how the project is going to be viewed and work. And of course, the send button that we talked about. If I have made handwritten notes on the margin of the pages while reading, is there a way to search through those notes or see them at one place? There actually is. Let me show you a couple points here. So we don't, in this particular document, I don't really have much in the way of margin notes, but let's just make a couple for the heck of it here. And we'll say important.
By the way, just to be clear, at this point, this is a couple of audience questions that we're going over. It's just about 3 minutes of them, but I think it'll be helpful for you as well. So we'll just finish this up and then we'll go to your questions. And needs review, and we'll add one more. Please revise. Okay. Now, the first thing to understand is that
when you create a comment, the text that it's based on is considered highlighted. So you can always just use the standard highlight view over here, pinch, and you see all of those comments come together along with your other highlights. So you can see all of them straight away, just like that. The other way, the other question is, can you search through them? Yes, you can. If I say, let's see, let's do a search for important. It finds all the different results with the word important, but one of those results, it may not be in this version. Okay, we may not have released that yet. So we're going to be letting the search feature here is going to be searching your comments as well, your document, your comments attached to your document. I think that hasn't actually released yet, but that's going to be released very shortly. So then the answer to that will be yes. The other thing to realize is that you actually can also pull your comments. You can actually pull your comments out into the workspace. So for example, I can, for instance, pull these guys out and together. So if I want to keep them organized together for a long time, I can actually just remove them from the document. And then of course, they will point back to what they refer to as well. So it's a little bit about whatever you need, but the short answer is basically yes. You can change the style and layout of the workspace. So you can click on the workspaces button here, and you can see all the workspaces you have in your project. In this project, we only have one, but you could have as many as you need. So if you click on the three dots, you can change the color, and you can change the style of the workspace. And now you see, you can have as many workspace pages as you like. You can simply continue scrolling around through them. So while we don't have something to enforce that it will only scroll vertically, you can, of course, for instance, only pull content out and arrange it vertically. And then the app will continue to extend the workspace vertically, but not make it any larger horizontally.
All right. With all that, thank you all very much for watching through that. And now let's take any questions that you have.
And we thank you for your patience. As you may have noted at the very end there, this particular module has actually 2 additional components that go deeper into LiquidText, should you be interested. But this gives you a basic introduction to the capabilities of the product. Questions?
Hi, Greg. Thank you. Thank you for the demonstration. Appreciate your time. I have a question on collaboration. Basically, can a team of lawyers sit down and collaborate a PDF file? They can, so I'm working on my, let's say, on my desk with your PDF. Somebody else is also working on that particular same PDF file. I can have my comments put. Al-Sabah can have his comments put. Surendra can have his own comment put. And can we collate all the information by the end of the day as a single PDF? That's one question. Second question is, how can I review what comments have been put by a specific person? Like you showed comment hightings. So let's say we've highlighted something. Can I specifically check that what is being highlighted by a particular group of person, or it'll show me highlights of everybody? And does it also mention any initials of the person who's made the highlight or whatever?
Yeah, great question. So let's hop over here to the app. So the short answer is this is going to become a lot better in probably about a month or so. Right now, the way collaboration works in LiquidText is, let's say I have a project here. If I want to collaborate with other folks, I need to actually send them this project file, right? So I would go to send and send them the actual LiquidText file. Now, again, if I've, for example, if I've made comments, I'll just make a comment here. I'll pull this out. And you see, it mentioned, it has my initials in it, so we can see who made the comments and such. and I can send this to my colleague, and my colleague can add comments and feedback as well. But it's a little bit awkward because I need to actually send them a file, and then they'll need to work on it and send the file back to me. What we're actually finishing up in our engineering team right now, and what we're hoping to put into beta in the next couple of weeks and release for real in probably about 4 weeks, is real collaboration, where you can actually invite all the other attorneys who need to work on the project into the same project with you. And you all can have your own private workspaces and public workspaces shared in the same project and everything, very much like what you're describing. Now, in that case, if we, just as an example, highlighting specifically does not by default include anything about who made that highlight. But if we think instead about comments that you've made in the workspace, then those do include the name, right? So this, if I pull out an excerpt and then I say a comment, I agree, then of course it has my initial right on there, and so we can see who made it. Now, this is the first version of our collaboration that's going to be coming out. So we're certainly open to ways to extend it, and we're very, very eager to hear about your thoughts and feedback of the folks that you're speaking with. But basically, what you're describing becomes much more feasible once the collaboration comes out. And again, hoping for about beta in about 2 weeks and real in about 4 weeks or so.
And once again, just to emphasize, a good way to think about what's coming, it would be kind of like a Google Docs approach, where you invite your colleagues to share the project. They have private and shared workspaces, and it's very much operates like a Google Docs with multiple people collaborating concurrently. And as we said, this is just being turned over to beta within the next week or so, and we expect to have public versions within a month. So hopefully, let's see if you can close the sale before we get the beta out. That would be cool.
Okay. And another question was comparison rate. I mean, do you have like a how do I compare two documents? Let's say you've made a file, you've exchanged that file with me, and I've made some changes in those files. How can you compare those files with the existing file or the original file?
So you're saying if you have, let's be specific. If you mean a LiquidText project, so you're saying if I have a LiquidText project and maybe I, pull out another excerpt into it, and we're wondering what's changed from the previous version to this version. Right now, we don't have a direct way to say, show me the new excerpts that you've created from the previous version to this version. In general, that has not been a strong demand from our users so far.
Craig, I think Manish is more interested in
I was going to get to that. Right, so that's a LiquidText project. If your concern is about a particular PDF, so for example, the let's say India waste burning notes, right? If I have one version of this and then someone creates a new version of this that has some changes to it. If your question is, how do I compare two different versions of a PDF? Is that your question? Okay.
Yes.
So we don't have machinery in the app for doing automated comparisons right now. We've thought about it. But generally that has not been a strong point of demand. Well, hang on. Please, one more. You can, of course, bring up two PDFs side by side, and you can compare them yourself, right? And one of the great things about LiquidText is if you see points of difference that you want to highlight, you can actually literally link them together like this. So it's great for bringing up complex documents, looking at them side by side, making comparisons and drawing connections. Now, if you're talking about a Microsoft Word like automated comparison, that we simply have not seen much demand for, so we haven't added it.
Well, we have document replace, which is a special form of document comparison. So if you're issued a new version of a document, say by the court or by a client, you can, in fact, can you demonstrate that on this? You should. We have.
I could. I'm not set up to demo that right now, but yes, one of the things that you can do is, let's suppose, as Stephen is saying, let's suppose there's a new version of the India waste burning notes file. What I can do, if I want to bring all of my annotations from the original version to the new version, I can click on the three dots and go to replace document. And here I can actually load in a new version, the newer version of that document. And what it will do is it'll find pages that are new pages versus the pages, any pages that were added versus any pages that were removed. And it'll actually bring all of my notes and everything over to the new version. So it'll basically let me replace the original version with a new version with more or fewer pages. So this is great, for example, when the court has, let's say, a trial bundle, and then, you annotate it, mark it up, and then next week they add another 200 pages to the trial bundle. You don't want to have to go through and re-annotate it and mark it up from the beginning. You can just replace the original with the new one, and all of your annotations and markups will go to the correct pages on the new version. Does that address your question, Manish?
Yes, it does. It does.
Good.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody else has any questions?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Can we do the digital signature in multiple pages through LiquidText PDF?
We don't have a digital signature pasting feature yet. Honestly, we simply have had very few users ask for that, so we haven't included it. But I'll tell you, if this is something that your users are strongly looking for, it would not be hard to add that in.
Yeah, okay.
So the question, what we usually get, to add up Surendra's question, we usually get a question from a customer saying that, let's say there is a contract note which is split into 100 pages, and the lawyer has gone through the contract note, and now he wants the customer to probably sign it. So generally what happens, digital signature, if you have that feature, in most of the product, they'll have to go page-wise and keep clicking and signing, okay? So what was more keen and interested was if there is something which is one click, sign, and to all documents, which means they just sign it, they approve the whole document, rather than going page by page and signing it. They say sign all, and all the pages get signed.
It's a terrific feature suggestion. We hadn't considered it before, but it's something we'll definitely think about. It's certainly we'd love some more. We'd want to see some examples of how that looks to see if our text parsing can find all the signature lines correctly. But it's a really great idea.
Oh, great, thank you. I mean, if that can be included, it can definitely help a lot of people when you have digital signature, especially contracts to be signed and stuff.
You know what? It's certainly something we can think about. Once we're done with collaboration, we're going to be thinking about what functionality we can add to continue to really add the greatest value for our attorney users. And this sounds like a very interesting feature. Offline, we should talk a little bit more, and I'd love if you have some examples of the specific documents that folks are working with all those signature lines. We'd love to see some and see what our engineering team can figure out.
Certainly, I will look into it and share something with you. Also, another question, well, addressing to the signature part only. Do we also have, third-party integration like DocuSign or other applications, or do we have our own signature application also?
No, we haven't. Honestly, we haven't had a strong demand for the signature, for the digital signatures so far. I'll tell you, the integrations that we've generally had the strongest, universally had the strongest demand for, are things like iManage, document management systems. We've had folks asking about things like NetDocs, which we're thinking about adding, and we've had firms frequently asking for integrations with their own custom document management systems, which we're working on with one organization right now. But digital signature, we simply haven't had a lot of demand for that. But again, if it's something that you're seeing from your customers, it's certainly something we could potentially add.
Most of the customers and most of the courts would have this requirement of a digital signature.
Okay.
Because what happens now these of late, even all the judgments are being created into a PDF file, and then they are uploaded on the site for public in public domain. And when you digitally sign that document, it is always protected, and nobody can make changes, and nobody can alter those judgments, which were earlier. There were instances where some of the lawyers have made some changes in a particular judgment and presented that as a case also.
I see. So we're okay. So that thank you for clarifying this. So we're talking two different kinds of digital signatures. On the one hand, we're talking about the literal signing on a signature line, but we're also talking about the actual digital signatures on the PDF, on the exported PDF. Am I understanding that correctly?
The digital signed certificates?
Yes, I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So ultimately, we're talking about two different digital signature functionalities. The first is literally being able to provide your signature in a document on a signature line, and the second is a digital certificate signature on the exported PDF file.
Yes. So in the court, usually the digital certificate is being used, but in most of the contracts, they usually have those digital signature, which is like a signature kind of thing,
right?
Where you've read and you approve the same and all of that.
Right. So basically, you're saying your customers really need both of these. The courts especially need the digital certificates to certify that the exported PDF, like what we generate here, has not been tampered with. And at the same time, you need the visual signatures, particularly for things like contracts.
Correct.
Okay. That's very helpful. Yeah. We can definitely look into both of those. Like I said, we haven't had a strong demand for that now, but again, we know we're pushing into the Indian market more deeply, working with you guys, and we're definitely very open to understanding the features that that your customers need. So yeah, please continue.
Okay. Any other question by anybody?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, can one license work on the various platforms like Mac OS, iOS, or Android, or Ubuntu?
So today we don't support Android directly, but yes, one user license supports all the individual devices that they use. So one license would cover iPad, Mac, or Windows device, or multiple devices for the individual user.
Except Ubuntu, right?
Except Android. We do not support Android directly, although technically web type deployments could be supported if the client has a strong what's called VDI infrastructure where they can serve desktops and the Windows version can be served. And we've seen that done successfully by users. But but today we do not directly support Android. Just Windows, Macintosh, and iPad.
And one more question I have. Thank you. What is the difference between LiquidText available in the Apple Store versus your enterprises?
There are many differences. The biggest one is that the versions in the App Store are consumer-oriented. So first of all, there's no ability to manage multiple copies, multiple licenses within a firm. They also do not interface with the security and mobile device management platforms that you will encounter in the larger law firms. So those products are made for single user applications. When multiple users when we need to address the security, privacy, and feature sets required within a corporate environment, that's what the version we're discussing supports.
Okay, so basically you want to say that do we have a different version for individuals and corporates?
That's correct.
Is it?
That's correct. And the individual version does not support things like MDM. It does not allow the same degree of manageability. One license must be purchased for one individual. So if the individual leaves the firm, there's no way to reallocate the license to a different user. There's a multitude of features like that that are missing in the consumer version.
Okay, very well. So do we have a comparison matrix?
We do. On our website, you'll see that there's a web page specifically called Enterprise Edition.
All right.
And
Now
it-
we're going to go a little bit deeper.
Hello, Craig.
Now I want to
Sorry,
talk to you
I'm trying to
about
actually show it to you, but
syncing,
unfortunately, I think YouTube is
sharing
starting.
projects in a little bit more depth. One.
There you go.
Sorry about that. There we are. And we'll just go to. Is this the pricing feature matrix or?
So
You
the
wanna go-
feature, the Enterprise Edition, okay. So first of all, the pricing and feature matrix on this page is down further. Craig, I think this is difficult with your fingers and my voice.
All right. We'll just. I'll let you. Why don't you lead it, Steve?
Hold on a second here. Share screen. Okay, so let me go to our website here. And okay. So this pricing page is for the consumer versions, but as we go down to the detailed feature summaries you see here, this begins to spell out all the differences, and as each version pops up, as you see, we go down here, it says additional features added with live, additional features added with live unlimited. That's for the consumer versions. The enterprise version is here and talks about all the feature sets that are included in the consumer editions, plus all this other good stuff. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
So one more question related to the marketing and sales purpose. So
Yes.
basically, till now, which segment are there whom we can target initially, like advocates who explain about, or any other segments?
So right now in India, we have over 16,000 lawyers who have registered as users of LiquidText, who have combinations of the consumer versions and the corporate versions. We also have, and again, as soon as we get going together, we'll share with you the names of all of our accounts so that you can use them as reference base. But we have approximately 5 or 6 of the top 20 law firms deploying across multiple practice areas in India. I think we've already mentioned JSNA Group. I think we have a number of fairly large law firm clients in parallel. In addition, it's been widely reported that the Supreme Court and Solicitor General's Office of the Indian government use LiquidText. We also have the High Court of Gujarat has 34 judges provisioned for LiquidText. So once again, we have quite a few deployments that have gone directly with us that we hope with local partners we can accelerate this rate dramatically because right now our customer base needs local service and support that we cannot really provide. And we've made a good start, but we need our partner to take what we've done so far and make it go a lot further. Clear?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So let me also show that this might be helpful if I can bring this up. This is our YouTube channel, and what you'll see is lots and lots and lots of video content. We have sections of demos, references, webinars. Here, for example, user-narrated case studies. Once again, organized by different types of attorneys in different geographies. Have to pardon me, I'm fighting with the the Zoom menu bar. So for example, here you saw a few videos from Priyanka Pandit. If we click in here, what you'll see is we have actually a full playlist with approximately 10 different videos, each describing different aspects of how she uses LiquidText, ranging from, in this case, an 18-minute video walkthrough of where she's giving a demonstration of how she uses LiquidText in her practice, right through to fairly small elements of detail. So how she uses color coding in her workspaces, how she uses highlights and tags. And again, once again, we have very extensive numbers of these. We're going to build out more of them for the Indian market. Ms. Pandit is the only Indian advocate that we have right now set up on this. But what you see here is an Australian barrister, a British barrister named Sharon Deegan in family law. A general litigator over here. Once again, there are an extraordinary number of videos that we have available. Right over here was the initial piece that you just, the initial video we just showed you a while ago, LiquidText Basics. Here we go a deeper dive, and here we go into Power Tools. And again, there is rich material here that where you can find examples of just about every type of practice area and lay these out. And we're committed to building more of these all the time. This video playlist here, for example, is a 16-part, much more deep playlist on teaching how to use every single feature in the product. Hold on a second. We also have webinars that are put up so that whenever we do new webinars, they're always available. And so, for example, here you can see a webinar we did in October, a briefing to the Gujarat High Court Advocates Association, webinar we did in June on new features. Once again, very rich video content. And again, the product is often best sold by showing how it's used. And this is why we've invested so heavily in video content. Okay, other questions?
Yes, sir. I have also more questions.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead with your question, please.
Can Google Drive be connected or integrated with LiquidText?
Yes. If you support Google Drive and you have it installed on your Mac or iPad or Windows machine, those files will show up in your file directory as if they're local files. If you have the same with OneDrive and other file management systems that are integrated into the file managers.
Okay.
Yes.
Second questions. Is there redaction features in LiquidText PDF? Redaction.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the word.
Redaction features. So right now we don't have explicit redaction features. Again, this has not been something that our users have really been asking for. But if it's just like the digital signatures, this is something that your customers express a strong demand for, this would not be technically far-fetched or difficult to add this in. So it's definitely something that we could do if necessary.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very unfortunate always that the features which we may not have, customer may have the big demand for the same.
Well,
right, and that's And this is often the problem, right? Whatever we don't have is what someone is asking for that day. But I mean,
exactly.
You understand, you understand your customers well. And, I would say, as you start talking to folks, if this is something that they express as a need, these would not be huge features for us to add. These are things we could add relatively quickly. We would just want to better understand, is this actually something that they're really going to need from us? But I mean, yeah, it would take a little bit of money and a little bit of time, but these would not be large projects for us.
Great.
Yeah, one more question, sir.
Yes.
Is there bits and stamping features in LiquidText?
Sorry, say that one more time, please.
Bits and stamping.
Oh, Bates numbering, Bates
Yeah.
stamping.
Yeah.
That just like the last couple. No, but we actually explicitly asked a lot of attorneys about this around the world, and a small number of them wanted it, but actually it was a very, very few, because most of them said, mostly we were speaking to, when we spoke to litigators, they said that, other folks in the pipeline often, if we speak in places like the UK, they said, the solicitors would just add those in. And basically, as part of the pre-processing of the documents they would already add in the Bates numbers. So they said there really wasn't much need to have LiquidText do it. Again, as with the other points, Bates numbering would not be a huge project. It would be relatively low-hanging fruit to add that in. But again, when we actually asked attorneys about it, the demand for it was a lot lower than other things.
Yeah. Okay.
So here is another point which I would like to mention is
Yeah.
See what happens. Our competition will always be hawking on us.
Mm-hmm.
They like let's say Acrobat for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
They would pinpoint and figure out what features we do not have. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when they make a presentation to a customer, okay, they would focus and emphasize on those features which we do not have.
Mm-hmm.
And so you please understand these questions are coming from by these people because of what they've experienced in the past.
Absolutely.
The customer may not use it that often, but that can be one of the decision makers mindset, which may just change because Adobe, which is already established big time, would play on these features, saying that okay, we have this, but they don't have these features, and so on. Of course, we do have a lot of benefits and better features than our competition as well, but it's just the way people are used to dealing with somebody for a long period of time, like Acrobat people or whatever. They may have that comfort zone with them, and then these features may just be a deterrent for us to enter those organizations.
Yes,
That's just a call, just a feedback from us.
And
Absolutely.
I also think, Manish, that there's you have a fairly unique positioning amongst our partners in that you've been very actively selling into the PDF reader space. So the interface between our space, which is more document analysis, there's an overlap. And your user base will be sensitive to that. And if that's important, if you find those features that are absolutely essential for us to succeed within your market space, we will help you out with that. I mean, we want you to be successful. And if there are things, like Bates numbering, we've analyzed before, other markets haven't needed it. If your market needs it, we understand it, and we can do this sort of thing quickly. So I think what we'll look to you and your team for is, as you initially go to market with this, give us feedback as to what you can use to close more business more quickly, and we will support you with that.
Right. And let me emphasize that what Stephen said is exactly true. And what we need then from you is, prioritization, right? There's a lot of Adobe has spent a long time adding a lot of very frequently useless, for many, many people, useless features to their apps. A handful of those are going to be very important. So the feedback you can give us on, Bates numbering is a nice to have, but the digital signatures is a must have, right? That kind of feedback is very valuable for us because it helps us prioritize our development. So as Stephen said, we're going to be looking to you to, help give us some of that feedback. And especially for some of the features we talked about today, these wouldn't take terribly long, but the prioritization is going to be important.
Yeah, coming on that, the same question I was supposed to actually tell you. All these questions we asked you, the most important and a must is definitely digital signature and the signature part, because that's something which most of our customers, if we meet 100 people in a month, 95 would require this for sure. And I'm not even talking about only lawyers. We also have a set of corporate customers, enterprise customers, and also the courts, the high courts.
And specifically, just to make sure I heard you, you're referring to the digital signatures or the certificate signing?
Both.
Okay, you're saying both of those are really critical for.
Well, digital signature, which is the certificate, is the high courts would require that for sure.
Okay.
And the corporates will require the digital signature as well as the signature, the normal signature thingy for sending contracts, signing, and all of that.
Right. Okay, understood. LiquidText does have a very unique value proposition. Whether it's going to be as critical, again, we've sold this to a lot of folks. We have not gotten a lot of people asking for that. I understand your point, though, that your experiences, your customers are going to need it. And what I can tell you is, as we're finishing up the collaboration functionality over the coming few weeks, we're going to be very much looking at what things we can add next. So let's continue the discussion about this and exactly what the spec that you're envisioning customers needing is on all these folks or on all these features. And we can see what we can do.
And also, just to ask you, how can we create demo licenses for our customers? Let's say if I have to give it to a couple of high courts for them to use it, give their feedback.
We're working on those on the infrastructure issues right now with our supplier, and we will have a mechanism by which you'll be able to issue demo licenses to users without any undue burden. So you will have that capability. I expect it's probably about a week away. Before then, if you need something, we can help you. We can do it. You let us know what you need and we can get it provisioned for you the same way we did for your team.
Certainly, I shall let you know. It's not going to happen now in a couple of days, because we are on the year-end, financial year-end. India usually has 31st March as the financial year-end. And most of our customers would be now, after that, for a week gone, because they'll be finishing off with the financial year. And then most of the action would start post 6th or 7th of April. So definitely we have time for that. Thank you.
Good.
All right, so gentlemen, thank you very, very much for your time. I know it's about midnight past there for you guys, and especially for Craig. Thank you so much for your time. And we may have some questions which we will collate and send you guys an email on that. Okay, and I'll ask my team to go through the deck of all the video presentations what you guys have, and we'll try the product, we'll test it ourselves, we'll come up with more questions as and when we have. We'll keep bothering you people.
Please.
So that we're ready for it. And appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Understood. Manish. Just in the way of some closing comments is the next training session we'll send you is going to be information more about technical matters, different infrastructures you'll come across in different use cases, whether they be small, medium, and large law firms. And again, we'll work together to figure out a way where perhaps we can buddy call with you with our resources and your sales resources in the first few calls so that you can quickly come up to speed on how to properly sort out a configuration in some of these larger user organizations. Okay.
Absolutely.
And we look to have that outlined to you within the next day or two. Okay.
Right, Stephen. Right, great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Manish,
Thank
let me just say, Manish and team, thank you very much for your time as well. To just reemphasize what Stephen said at the beginning, we are very much looking forward to developing this partnership with you all, and we're very excited. So thank you all again.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night. Have a nice sleep. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.